Everybody, how's it going? How are y'all? What's up? All these things. We'll give it a second, see who's popping in. Make sure we are live across all platforms. I think we are good on LinkedIn. I think we are good on YouTube. I think we are good on Twitter. This is the first time actually broadcasting out to Twitter, so this one I'm really curious about. Yes, we are live there too. Oh man, y'all, I'm excited to speak to you all today. This topic just it's, hits home, right? So most of the topics I talk about and have guests on speaking about specifically um, working while black and the black experience, the nuances, navigating and this one is no different to be honest, but I think it spans larger than that. This is we're in this really interesting time right now where people are literally leaving their jobs or at least planning it. And it's not necessarily to say that oh this job sucks, I hate it, but just really I think there's more opportunities available to us. And a lot of times we're in positions where we may feel that we can't do all the things we want to do at least we're working or your job just is no longer the right environment for you. And so now everyone's looking like, okay, so is it about do I need to switch, find a new job, or do I really need to start investing in myself, my brand, what I want to do? Yeah, I'm excited about this topic. I'm someone who's worked for several years to build my brand to get it to the point where I'm on a few different platforms and just starting to take advantage of different programs, and it's exciting. It's really exciting, but I'm still working on it, and I'm still working full time as well. Real quick, what's up, everyone? Daniels, I see you. Yes, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. It's really cool to get to engage with you in the LinkedIn audio event. Also, I see someone on Facebook. I think there's some permissions, so I can't see your name, but I appreciate you tuning in. One thing I want to know real quick for everyone watching, I want to know where you are in your journey right now. Are you full time? Are you part time? Like working a full time job, or are you a full time entrepreneur, creative? We want to hear where you are in your journey. Because this right here is not just me and Steve talking; it's all of us together. We're all in this together, looking to get to where we want to be. What's up, Sidibe? I really want to understand what brand is and how to build it. We came to the right place. What's up, Samantha? LZ from Milwaukee. What's up, LZ? Appreciate you tuning in as well. All right, y'all. So, the inspiration for this, it just came from just several conversations I've been having with people, right? And I think early on in my journey, I remember having the mindset that I need to quit my job. My job is keeping me back from pursuing the things I wanted to do. And in a way, that's kind of correct. Like, yeah, if there's something going on at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'm not gonna be able to get to it because I'm working. I got to do it. And yeah, working remote now kind of creates more opportunities, flexibility, all these things. But in a way, the job is an obstacle, but it doesn't have to be an obstacle for everything. Not having a job gives you all the time in the world to follow your dreams. But one thing I realized in my own journey is that it was not the job that was holding me back; it was myself. Building a brand, it doesn't require you to be full time, but it just requires intention, persistence, consistency, discipline, and a strong desire just to keep going no matter what. Even if no one else understands it, you know your purpose, you know what you want to do. It's a matter of going out to do it. So today it's not just me because I don't like to create all by myself. I have my guy Steve Worthy with me, longtime friend, collaborator. He supported me in all sorts of different ways, and I'm excited to have him in here because he actually left his job recently, y'all. That's right. He did all the things we imagined doing at some point, leaving our job to be a full time creator. So, without further ado, Steve, welcome to the stage, man. How you doing?
What's going on, man? What's going on? I'm excited to be here, dude. I got a lot of people in the audience tonight.
Got a lot of
This
people
is
in
pretty
here.
cool. This is pretty
Yes.
cool.
Yes, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and comment your name real quick, just because I think for some permission things can't see, but I really want to know who's in here with us. Scorpion, I see you in here. Appreciate you tuning
Oh,
in.
Scorpion.
Lex appreciates you currently working a 9 to 5, interested in building a brand, but not sure how to get started. You came
Mm,
to the right place, Lex. You came to the right place. Also, I've been posting about it uh recently, but Steve and I, we decided that we're gonna bring someone up. Actually, we're gonna bring someone up on stage to really hear what y'all have going on, because we talk all the time
yeah, we do.
nonstop. We actually literally spoke last Friday, actually. So this is just a regular conversation we have, but we want to make sure this is something that's not just us talking about how we did it, but really kind of giving you tips to get to where you want to go as well. Appreciate you. Excited to learn. I'm excited you're here. As we're going, feel free to drop any questions you've got going. But back to you, Steve. Steve,
What's going on, dude?
yo, I'm really glad you're. Oh, actually, hold up. Hold the hoodie up a little bit. We
What's
gotta
that?
see you. We gotta
Oh,
see.
yeah. You know I gotta rep,
Yeah.
man. You know we gotta rep.
Podcasters Live. Y'all, for
We gotta
those who
rep.
don't know, Steve is now a full-time creator. Recently left his full-time job where he was helping retail companies and developing leaders, working with companies like Target, Costco, Sam's Club.
Sam's Club.
Yeah. Working with all these different like well-known brands that we all use and we all spend our money at. While still working on brands like helps to take podcasters to the live streaming world and build and grow their brand there. He's also had a show all about just personal development and leadership. He then ended up transitioning that into a show all about retail leadership. And before that, he even had a show just all about fathers, right? What was it? What was it
Mhm.
called?
Yeah, it was, oh gosh, it was a podcast that started in 2007. From around 2011. It was called By Husbands for Husbands, where
By
we
husbands for
yeah,
husbands.
yeah,
Yes.
we helped husbands at the time balance, being an entrepreneur and also being a husband. So it was a really good show. It was my first, stab into podcasting, way back when. So it was actually really good.
Love that. So you've been doing this, been helping people grow, and I love that. So let's actually just jump right in.
Yeah, man.
You already kind of spoke about balance. I just
Ooh,
want to just kind of dive into there. First off, when you think about balancing your responsibilities at work, your responsibilities in your personal life, and then balancing your passions, desires, all these things, what are some things that come to your mind?
ooh, yeah. I think the biggest thing is you have to have a passion for both, right? Your personal and your professional life. I think the personal life, a lot of times I want to say we don't take for granted, but we it's our personal life. We have our families, we work and we do all these different things, and it just kind of happens, right? Life just kind of sort of happens from a personal standpoint. But then there's the other side of the professional side, that where you feel like you wanna do something different, or you feel like you're called to do something a little bit more. And sometimes you actually do have to take time away from that personal side in order to grow, learn more about yourself, and learn more about what you're trying to do. So you have to understand that there is going to be some give and take from the personal to the professional life. And how does that work? And I think the biggest thing, especially if if people are married or they have kids and things like that, right? That's where the communication kind of comes into play, because the tendency is that when you're trying to go off and do something, that's going to take time away from the family or things like that, the communication has to be there. But if you're single, then you also have to understand that how are you actually going to still balance your personal life, and making sure, because that they can easily mesh more so than when you're married and got kids, right? That single life can actually just mesh right into your professional piece. But you have to balance that as well, because you still need time to kind of connect with yourself, understand more about who you are, so that way when it comes time for the professional piece, you can actually kind of go into it, a whole person, and understand a little bit more about who you are, so that you can give 100%.
That's interesting because I think that oftentimes one would think that, well, if you're in a relationship, you have less time to commit to your craft or the things you want to do. But I feel as though I perform better, create better now that I am in a relationship than I was when I was single.
Mm,
because I
mm.
have healthier content creation practices, business practices. I'm not trying to spend every single waking moment uh, putting everything into the brand. I'm
Yeah,
actually taking time to just be and rest and self care as well. I
100%.
think that's super underrated. So, what are some
Well,
things you?
Hannah's not gonna let you, you
Honorable
know,
not.
she ain't gonna let you, mess things up. So she go provide that balance for you, as well too.
Absolutely.
She gonna be like, "Hold up, dude, let's get back into this. Let's have a movie night or something like that." So she's not gonna let you go too far afield.
Oh no, she won't. She will not. She's gonna let it known that I need to respect her time. And I appreciate that. Queen Cole, I see you in here.
What's going
Yes,
on, Queen?
yes. Creating work life boundaries, good stuff. That's I think like probably the foundation of it all. When you're thinking about building your brand while working full time, is to have that balance. And I think balance, even besides building your brand, when you're working a job, you need to have it. A lot of people will either abuse your time or you'll let other people abuse your time as well.
Mm.
But that's you can let that happen. But at the end of the day, I think what a lot of us are chasing is not just growing an empire, but it's kind of peace and kind of living a lifestyle that we want to live. And I
Agreed.
think balance is a huge part of that, regardless of where you are in your journey.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, like, is around the idea of success, right? What does success look like? Because when we start talking about balance and things like that, I think at the end of the day, everyone wants to be successful, whether it's personal, or for professional standpoint. And so, but everybody's definition is going to be different, right? So, you and I, we talk a lot about like around like podcasting and podcasters, and we talk, strongly about their why, right? Because if their why isn't strong enough, then they will what we call pod fade, or they'll just completely stop. I think the same thing when you start talking about, and we'll get into like the whole personal branding piece, but I think whatever it is that you are passionate about professionally that you kind of want to go after, that's maybe outside of your 9 to 5, like how strong is that why? How strong are you going to be dedicated to that when the times get hard, when you actually have to create the content yourself, where you actually have to edit the video yourself, edit the podcast yourself, all of those things, that things that we don't want to do. But if your why isn't strong enough, then you're just going to allow some of those things to kind of go by the wayside. So you don't want to, you want to focus in on that and make sure that, the why. And that's the thing, we talk a lot about this. I'm going to go on this tangent for a second real quick,
Let's
is
do it.
because, when we start talking about, branding and, who you are. One of the first things that we do when we start coaching people, whether it's with Worthy Retail U or it's with Podcasters Live, right? We talk about the whole person first, right? The tendency a lot of times, I think, with coaching, and helping people kind of move through stuff is just to give them the kind of the tools and techniques and things like that to kind of help them cope and balance. I agree with that, but I think at the very beginning, you have to help the person galvanize more insight about who they are. Because if you don't do that, it doesn't matter. You're building on a weak foundation. Doesn't matter what your brand ideas are. Doesn't matter what you want to do. Doesn't matter what the content that you want to put out there. If your foundation is weak on who you are, you're gonna fall by the wayside. So I think that's the piece that's missing a lot. Everybody wants to get a brand. They want to do this, dude. Fix yourself first. Understand a little bit more about who you are, so that you can say no to certain things that kind of come across your table that aren't truly going to impact you, or that seem good, and they may seem good, but if you really know yourself, you're gonna be like, I'm not trying to deal with that. So,
Mm.
I just want to go down that road for a second.
I appreciate you going down that road. That's key. And I got a follow question for you. But
Yeah.
real quick, want to shout out a few more people. Christopher G. Johnson, greetings to you as well. Hope all
What's
is
going on,
well with you.
Christopher?
I was on Christopher's live not too long ago. It was amazing. Um, let's see. I think we got okay. She's on Victor. Who is this guy? Yeah, I don't know. I just found Steve.
Oh, Victor.
He's like sending me messages like, "Put me on, put me
What's up,
on." So I was
Victor?
like, yeah.
Victor
uh,
and I, Victor and I did for Podcasters Live. We did a live stream, and we built the a NAS, my network assistance system, where it's almost like a server that I have now, so I can kind of work remotely, and it was pretty dope. So, Victor, big up to Victor. He helped me
Big
with that.
ups to Victor for real. Yes. Okay. Okay, I gotta catch. I gotta go catch that replay.
Yeah.
That replay. Another replay. Recent live. I got to catch live. Sherry Jones. Appreciate you
Trader
tuning
Jones.
in. Welcome, welcome. We got Samantha. I may have shouted you out before, but if not, hello again. Oh, just saying hi to Hello Queen. Yo, I like that. I like that. I always like when people are like talking with each other as well, because this
Yeah.
really is like a whole communal thing right here.
I see
We
somebody
have.
in there that we gotta kick out.
Is it Raphael?
No, not Raphael. I like Raphael. What's up,
All right, you
Raphael?
good, you good. What's up,
Yeah,
great people?
Raphael's good. It's that James Hicks guy.
Oh, James Higgs. James
Yeah, yeah,
Higgs.
he's a
Okay.
heckler.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can yeah, no more shout outs for you.
that's
What's
my
up,
guy.
James?
What up, dude?
All right, yeah. Okay, so Steve, you mentioned having a strong why and that
Mhm.
being important. I think we hear that pretty often. So, but one question I have for you is how many times did you have to revisit your why?
That's a great question, dude. I think the issue for me, and you know this story about my when I first got back into podcasting, and I had this podcast called The Worthy Podcast, right? Because it's super creative, right? And I feel like I had a pretty decent last name, but no one in the hell knew what The Worthy Podcast was about, including myself. And I was just had an idea about a brand or something I wanted to create and all these different things. Here's the one thing that I strongly suggest people start delving into things that they want to do. You need to partner with somebody, a trusted person that's actually going to, they don't have any skin in the game. They could tell you about your idea, good, bad, or indifferent. You and I have done that for like the last 2 years. Now I have some amazing people in my life, Cher Jones and James Hicks, that I'm able to talk to them about certain things, and they're like, "Nah, dude, that's whack." But I think when you're starting to think to build your brand, you have to find people that are going to help you and provide some insight for you. Because here's the other thing is that your brand and everything that you're going to be doing is simply it should be an outcropping of who you are, a byproduct of who you are. And if you have somebody who knows you, they will quickly sift through your ideas and your content, and they'll be like, I don't know if that sounds like you. I don't know if that's you or not. So when you start to talk about having to revisit, how many times I've actually had to revisit, I think I learned early in my leadership career around, like, from a leadership standpoint, like leadership is not about me; it's about my team and having strong people around me. And I think I've actually been able to take that same mindset into the content creation space of surrounding myself with people and realizing that my idea is just that, but it could actually be better if I have more people around me that can provide some insight into it. And then as it correlates with who I am. So that way it's actually stronger together than it is just me by myself.
Okay. While you're all watching, you can think about it for a second, but I want to hear everyone's. I want to hear y'all's why you create. What 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 um what drives you? Not necessarily motivation, because I think motivation is fleeting. Like when you think about creating, what kind of gets you either in front of the mic, or if you're not
Yeah.
even a content creator, if you're working on your business and growing that, what keeps you going back to that business? I really want to know
Yeah.
what your why is.
Let me can I answer that from for me? It
Yeah,
is
let's
it
do it.
is helping people like get it. Right. And I know it sounds kind of like super like, but it is really when I see people get it in the context of they realize that they have the potential to do more based on a conversation that we've had or based on them implementing something that I've actually given them. And they can come back to me and they can say like, "Oh my gosh, this is I'm doing this now," or "That helped me so much," or "Now I'm doing this." And then they start to kind of almost like think for themselves. I don't mean that in a negative sense. They start to understand themselves more. And then when they do that, they can kind of see things transpire in their life and they can make those decisions with sometimes without, counsel. And they're making them independent of like that coaching session or even as a leader, people that I lead, they can come to me with the answers and things like that. Like that is for me, that's why I love leadership, with Worthy Retail You, coaching people. And the same thing with Podcasters Live is helping people understand a little bit more about the how to build a community so that that way when they start to publish their podcast and trying to grow things, like they can see the fruits of their labor just kind of based on conversations that we've had. So for me, it is really helping people get it. And then that just goes into so many different areas in my life. But that's kind of my why.
Mm. I have a question in the comments I want to ask you, but before then, it, do you think you could build what you have built without having community in mind?
Ooh. No, no, because everything I started um from a business standpoint. So I had Worthy Business Solutions, was one of my first things that I started uh in Atlanta. And then I did Kingdom Cafe and Books, and that was a sort of a franchise model for churches in Atlanta where they could actually, start to run their own cafes. This was well before what we see now with a lot of the churches. So we were kind of innovative back then. And both of those had, numerous people kind of involved. But I think before that whole idea of community was popular, it was more along the lines of people that shared your vision and they saw things inside the vision and they were able to, once again, that's what a community does, right? They come in and they help an idea, they help something prosper, not just in and of themselves, but because of the totality of it is bigger than you. And so that's the other side of the thing. We start to think about community and your brand, in who you are. It has to be bigger than you. It has to be bigger than you, right? Share Jones and I, we talk a lot. We talk in the context of, like, if you're not stretching your vision, if you feel like you can do things, without God, let's just put it in that context, then it's too small. It's just too small. And that's where you have to bring other people involved to kind of help you out through that process.
Mm. I was about to make a Kanye reference, like, or you're in Kanye mode, but even him talks about God all the time. So I like that. I like that. So we got a few whys in here. Well, one in particular,
Yeah.
Christopher G. Johnson. He said, "My why is to connect with people, to help them expand their minds and their
Mhm.
knowledge." I love that. And what I like about that is, I felt when I was on your show, Chris, when I was on your show, I felt like my mind was expanding. You were
Yeah.
asking me questions that I already knew the answer to, but you helped me just dig even deeper real time. And that was really cool. So appreciate you. Um, got Queen Cole who says, Steve, you helped me understand the community factor better. Love that. Love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
And
Thank
that's really
you.
cool to hear
It is.
your impact, Steve, because Queen is someone who already, in my mind, did a really good job at being an engaging presence for
Hmm.
people tuning in with her live show. So that's really cool to hear. But we had a question from Raphael from White Label American Podcast. He always
Yeah.
comes through and contributes in one way or another. Always love you pulling up. But yes, how do we find that trusted person? This goes back
Yeah.
to developing the why and having someone else to be there with you.
Yeah. That's a great question. It's honestly through trial and error. At least for me, it was, right. You know, Raphael, you're up in New York, you're up in Brooklyn, right? So I think, a lot of times you gotta trust your gut, you trust your street savvy, your common sense to some degree. And I can see nonsense from a mile away, whether it's in people or whether it's in a situation. And so I feel at home kind of delineating between who I'm going to have as a trusted person in my life and not. Well, I think the other question or the underpinning of this question is, like, what are you looking for, maybe from a trusted person? Right? I think you're looking for experience, right? You're looking for experience maybe outside of your own experiences, whether it could be industry, whether it could be time in business or time in leadership or whatever it is. I think you're looking for somebody that can communicate their message succinctly as well, because the tendency is that if you're once you're trying to develop your brand, you're going to need somebody to help you craft your messaging, possibly, So if they're not doing it right, then I'm not sure how much they can help you with that. And I just think the other part is that you have to be cognizant of, the time that people will give you as well. And I think, well, I share this story a lot when I was getting mentored, with Target, and I was connecting with several different leaders, and I tend to have like an agenda when I met with these guys and gals. And this one day I got caught up and I didn't have an agenda. I didn't send it to him. And I'm in the car driving in between stores, and I just pulled off to the side of the road and I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, I didn't get an agenda." And I'm like, "Oh, my bad. I thought I thought we could just like, chat." And he was like, "Steve, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do this again." And what that lesson showed me was that I was taking, it may seem an extreme case, but I was taking his time for granted, and I didn't wanna do that, and so I never done that again. Never done that again in my career. When it comes time for somebody who's going to invest in me, you have to make sure that you are taking, you take their time seriously. So that trusted person, take their time seriously once you find them as well.
Mm, I like that. Um, what's interesting? As I was thinking about that question, I just started thinking about just kind of me and myself. I know I've been in certain mindsets where I wasn't receptive to really hearing from other
Mm,
people. And it was partly because I didn't fully understand what I wanted. It's like people were saying stuff to me. I was like, yeah, that's cool, but that's not exactly it. And because I couldn't understand what it is I wanted, I couldn't communicate what I was really trying to do either. So I think a
it's a great
mistake a lot
point.
of people make is just bringing in people help and not knowing what you're doing. And it's okay to not know, but you need to be able to communicate that with people if you want to, lead them.
So how did you get past that? I'm gonna flip the I'm gonna fl I gotta get into coaching
Oh,
mode. How
change my
did you
chair
Yeah,
around.
I got I got I gotta get into coaching mode.
All
How
right.
did you move past that, right? Because I think what you just said is very constructive for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are actually still dealing with that, with like, I'm not particularly sure, what I wanna do, and guess what? Now people are trying to give me advice, and it's just not fitting because I may not be where I need to be. How did you overcome that?
Mm, where surrender kind of comes to me.
Yeah,
That comes to me, and just
yeah,
letting go. In fact,
yeah,
when people are always like, "Yeah, I'm open. I'm completely open." Someone called me out on not being open, and that did not feel good at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, hold on a second, no." It's like you don't understand, but no, it wasn't the case. So I think just letting go. I feel like sometimes we don't let people in, not necessarily because we don't want help, but almost like a little bit of fear involved, fear of letting someone else get in there and changing things around, or just fear something not going right. There's a lot of things that could happen when you have someone else come in, people taking over all these things. But just had to let go of, I think, some of my expectations to have
Mm,
everything perfect before
come on,
I
man.
could have someone help, and just let go of it needing to be my way, or even if someone else's idea was something I didn't care for, just being like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it out. And in one of those settings, I ended up having a whole brand new cover art that I now love absolutely, but I was resistant to it. I was resistant to it, and to be honest, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome, fear of being seen, all these things. There's a lot going in inside, but
Yeah,
you
dude. No,
just surrender.
I think the fortunate thing that I've actually been able to see is your maturation, right? And you're kind of like, coming out of the chrysalis, to kind of who you are. I've been fortunate to be able to see that, and it's actually been cool to kind of see where you currently are to where you were when I met you. I think the other thing too, I think, you and I, we talk a lot, and I think this will be constructive for a lot of people too, is that we talk a lot about starting ugly, right?
Mm,
Just like, you just gotta, start ugly. And then a lot of times once you start, then you start to build momentum, you start the ideas start to formulate, the concepts start to become a little more clear. then you bring that trusted person in there to kind of help round off some of those edges of your idea, and now you're actually working with something that's actually pretty cool. So
Mm. I appreciate that. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
man.
It's been a journey. It really has been a journey. I think that's one. If there's one thing I want people to walk away with is that it really is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not just a trendy thing to say. That's absolute truth. And I feel like everyone here knows this as well. Sometimes we need that reminder, being like it's okay to not be where we are just yet. Now, real quick, want to shout out someone else who has joined. Sherilyn Langston. Hello, how you doing? Would love to hear kind of about where you are in your journey and what's something that you're working towards as well, what you're building. Love to hear it. And let's see, we got a few. There's something going on in the comments. We got Doc Rock in here. What's up?
What's going on, Doc Rock? That's okay. That's okay. I got it. This is for Doc Rock. So we are. He is Manchester U, and
Oh, you
I am.
man, you?
He's Man U, and I am Man City. And so, this is for you, Doc. It
I don't.
stays close to me. It stays close to me.
The only blue I
Just,
have.
just, just for you, buddy. Just for you. No, but glory, 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 Doc Rock. Doc, let me tell you what, man. So if you guys don't know Doc Rock, you got to check out his channel. Check out what he does. Not cool, Steve. And what he does. So when I started getting further and deeper into this whole live stream piece, I was looking at his stuff religiously, and I still do because of the content value that he adds, but more importantly, the realism of who he is, and how he presents and how he feels that everybody should be able to present their content, and who they are. Don't be ashamed of who you are and what you are and what you want to do and what you want to put out there. I think just listening to him over time has helped me kind of like cultivate more ideas. So we start talking about that whole idea about trusted people too. So let me talk about that, because I've never met Doc in real life. Haven't met him in real life, but he was consistent with what he's been doing, and he's been consistent with his messaging. And so for me, that started to build trust. And so when he said he was going to do something, or he said to actually do it, then for me, I felt there was a measure of trust. So I think that's the other piece to help you out with that, Raphael, too, is like you got to peep people out, right? You got to check them out, and step back for a little bit in the cut and just check to see how they moving. And if they're moving the way that you look that consistently, then that may be the person that you want to connect with as a trusted person. You don't have to meet the person. James Hicks. I haven't met James Hicks in person, right? But he's a trusted advisor, for me. We talk all the time as well. So anyway, just wanted to go back on that. Glory, glory, Doc.
Glory, glory. And just to shout out Doc again, he came through with strong gem. Some of us stay ugly. Stay ugly. We don't leave that ugly face. But as long as you are bringing the value, they won't care.
Yeah, yeah. I think that staying ugly is just staying hungry, right? You know what I mean? Like if you stay ugly, you stay in the context of like almost like the uh, underdog type of mindset, and you stay hungry. You keep plowing away, right? I talk about in the context with leadership with people is like change before it's necessary, right? Because the tendency is that when you're just like when you're moving up the ladder, you're moving through different phases of your life. The tendency is that you get comfortable where you are, and that level of being comfortable, you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. I'm actually rocking and rolling, but if you want to get to the next level, I think you have to start continuously, iterate of where you are mentally and where you want to be, and then change before it's necessary. So that way, so you can continually move forward. And I think the idea of starting or continue to be ugly, it helps you just remain hungry and makes you stay focused. And sometimes, iterate when you don't feel like you need to, or you don't feel like it's necessary because you're comfortable. But I think if you stay ugly, stay hungry, I think you can continue to move and be successful.
Mhm. Absolutely. It's that almost like complacency mindset too. And real quick, gotta shout out Scorpio November.
What's
Definitely
up,
want to shout
Scorpion?
out Scorpio real quick
What's
because
going on,
she's one of
Scorpion?
those people who are those trusted individuals. And I think back to what you were saying about people who um, just are consistent, stay true to who they are, stay strong with their messaging. And one thing, Scorpion, I appreciate about you is that you always have come to support other. You know what you're talking about. You open to sharing advice, but you also are a really good job at connecting people. You connected me with someone, Chris Ward Jr., who has been a tremendous help with me on my journey as well. So sometimes it's like trusting the people who your people trust as well.
True, true.
Now, we come here to talk about building your brand while working full time. I'm close
Yeah.
to like shouting out everybody and like showing everyone love, but we have to do that on another live. We'll call it the Hear Your Roses live or something like that. But Steve, you recently left your job, which is amazing. But I would love to hear about while you were still working and looking to build your brand because there were some, I think, tough decisions you had to make content wise, like not really pushing your brand on LinkedIn as much, both to protect your brand but also respect your job. So, can you talk a little bit about what it was like? Sorry, I just saw the comments.
What's that?
What it
Which one?
was
Which
like.
one?
We're actually going to take a quick break to go into these comments. A
Go
few of
for it.
these
Yeah,
things,
man.
but
We
yeah,
don't, we got to do this thing, man. I got time.
yeah. All right. Oh, I misunderstood one, but I just love this one from Doc Rub. Yes, stay hungry, stay foolish. I
Yeah.
love that. My old boss used to tell us that his name was Steve too. Okay, there's something about bosses named Steve, man. They got the
Boom.
wisdom.
Boom.
Um, Raphael, White Label American Podcast, said minus the EP of blasphemy. I love this conversation. I'm at dinner with the family and Slice against me. Yo, oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate
Me
that.
too.
Yeah. And we got Queen Cole. She said, "Wow, I'm shocked to hear you and James haven't met. Y'all had a fire live. It's crazy. Like the people you like because of the internet. There's a lot of people you just have not met yet. That paired with just pandemic and just how different people move. There's like so many people who have not met each other yet in real life, and it's really cool to hear. But yeah. So yeah, Steve. Back to
Yeah.
your journey working. What was it like trying to build your brand, get people to see it, engage with it, try to do all you wanted to do while still working full time.
Yeah. You know, I think a major part of this depends on the culture of where you work. So when I was with Target and I had started coaching and doing a whole bunch of other stuff, uh, they appreciated that because it fit into my mold of who I was. And then I can bring a lot of those lessons learned that I had from coaching and um, you know, communication and speaking and all these different things into the organization. And they actually truly valued that. Now, when I moved to another organization, they didn't value that. They valued, some measure of like loyalty um, on and off the clock, right? Even in your personal life, there was this underpinning of, why are you doing that? You could be doing this, or you could be doing that. And so for me, that the culture of where you currently are has a major for me, it played a major role in the things that I wanted to do. And so I took that all of that into consideration, right? So there are things that from a LinkedIn standpoint, because I wanted to continue to show loyalty to my um and honor my employer, who was, paying helped me pay my mortgage, kids in college, cars, all of the stuff, 401k, right? All of that stuff, right? So I had to make sure that I continued to honor them while I still built my brand. I had to make some decisions I guess from a marketing standpoint relative to kind of pull back a little bit with live streaming and certain things that I was doing on LinkedIn just because I didn't want there to be this confusion. I didn't want this questioning to happen. Now I was still building the brand, but it wasn't as visible as it previously was. And so that was my own personal decision to do that because the culture that I was currently in didn't appreciate that, but my previous one did. So you have to take that into consideration. And sometimes you just have to make a hard decision because the other side of it was that I knew that that company and that my role wasn't going to be my endpoint. I knew that there were other things that God had for me that I wanted to move into, and so I had to make sure I just honored where I currently was. I honestly felt it was almost like a test to some degree to make sure that I'm doing things decently and in order. And another part of it is that I always think about how you leave something is how you start something. And so making sure that you're actually doing that. And then a phrase that Sharon Jones came up with to help me kind of work through this stuff as I was transitioning was it's all ministry. And what that did for me when I was trying to make the transition, I was thinking about making the transition. I looked at the company and I looked at the people that I was leading completely different. Like I honestly took more time, yeah, before I was leaving. I took more time with each leader, like on a visit, um, connecting with them, talking to them, um, just giving them more of me, you know, like stuff that I just had in my head from like leadership stuff. And man, I mean, just talk for them like for like, an hour, just giving more of myself. And I think that helped me get through it, more so than anything else too. And that helped the transition kind of go a little more smooth.
How you mentioned something earlier about knowing that your future wasn't at the company you're working at.
Hmm, hmm.
I feel like I well, actually, I'd love to hear from y'all actually in the comments before I
Yeah.
go there. How do you feel about your current situation? Are you aware that you feel you want to be? I won't even say need to be, but want to be. And
Right.
don't incriminate yourself. If y'all on LinkedIn, if your boss is there, hey, say exactly what you want to say.
Yeah.
But I would be curious to know. You could always DM me as well. By the way, at some point before we finish, which will be soon, I would love to have someone come up and join us just so we can hear a little bit more about what you're building and see if we could help you kind of get to where you want to be. So if you're interested, put a hell yeah, yeah, yes, bring me up, Scotty, just whatever, just to fully communicate, and we'll see if we can get you on. Um, while you're talking, I think you triggered a few things. One, we got Sherry Jones who came in, said you've got to respect the paycheck when incorporating, so it's building your business into your personal brand while still working. It's a very delicate strategy and balance. That's absolutely
100%.
right. I
She spelled paycheck wrong though.
I
That's
wasn't gonna
because
put her on blast like
I
that,
no,
but
I
you
got
did it.
I
You went
she
there.
she knew I was. That's
I
because
think I think that's trademark though. Paycheck.
well,
It's
that's because
French
that's because
paycheck.
she's from Canada.
Oh,
That's
so
how they
okay, it's
yeah,
whole
that's how they
thing.
roll up there.
That's how
They
they
spell
speak.
everything wrong with the extra U. So, no, I say that.
Yeah, it's like paycheck. Paycheck.
Paycheck.
Um, yeah, you know what's interesting about working a job, right? I feel like we always talk about like not wanting to just having more control over our lives. And I think one
Yeah,
lesson I've had with working a job is that I now look at it as another income stream. And there's
yeah,
just certain obligations, responsibilities I have for it. The reason for that is because a lot of times I feel like people they end up being in entrepreneurship, but they end up working for their clients, really, not necessarily for themselves. And
mm,
it's
mm,
just an interesting line. And it's just, I think it's important to always know when you are building to where you want to go, you're just intentional about the relationships you want to have with the people you're building with.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Now, real quick before we go on, want to go back to her earlier comment from Cheryl Lynn, who kind of shared her why. And I love this. She shared that hi guys, I've been creating content as a hobby since 2000.
mm,
That's 22 years, y'all. As a professional at it, and I'm looking to do it on a professional level now. Um, one thing I just want to give you a round of applause real quick because
yeah, yeah,
you've been doing it. You've been doing it, and I love that. And I hope that when you say professional level, I hope you mean more so generating income around it because I feel like if you're doing it for that long, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Any thoughts as you're reading that comment, Steve?
Well, my first question, I think, was like, are you still doing that full time, or are you still working a full time job and then creating the content, or are you like full time creating that professional content? That was just my first question. So if it's the latter with that you've been doing it for, for since 2000, dude, awesome. Awesome. I'm sorry, I say dude a lot. I'm from New York. Apologize. I know this is English. So, but no, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think that's where, you know, I think the tendency is that when you are trying to move from, your idea, right, to actually bringing it to life, that is probably the toughest part, because you start to second guess yourself sometimes around, like, is this the right thing for me to do? Who's going to actually want it? Then you start talking about, you fall in love with that paycheck, and you're like, "Ooh," I mean, honestly, I mean, a massive thing for me was, the regular paycheck, the regular things that I don't even you don't even I don't even remember what day we got paid. But, because it was just, it was just so regular. It is what it is. But you knew that was always gonna be there. Now moving into this new vein, of establishing and creating clients and doing things like that, I was doing that on a part-time level, right? While I was still working, and now doing it more. There is some trepidation, right? Associated with it, but but there is also this massive freedom that I feel, of being able to do what it is that I honestly feel I've been called to do. I had Monique Russell on, Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy a while ago. We were talking about communication, and of course, it was at the same time where everybody started talking about the Great Resignation, and she said, and I'm going to steal this phrase. She says, "Not the Great Resignation; it's the Great Redirection." Right? It's, because, and I know she's probably not the only one that said that, but it was poignant for me at that point in time, because I think at that time when I had her on, I was really delving in deep about making the move, and I think that's where a lot of people are. They really want to redirect their lives. It's not just it's not about you leaving the company, right? It's not about that. For me, it wasn't. It was just a redirection of what I really firmly feel that I will be my best, right? My zone of genius, rocking all of these things out. And so you have to understand that aspect too. It's not so much that you're just leaving a job, but you are redirecting your life into something that you really feel that is going to fulfill you, that you're going to actually be able to add tons of value to people in their lives as well.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. One thing I love about that mindset is it's positive, right? And I think that when you're thinking about your purpose, where you want to be, it, it's easy to let negativity creep into
Yeah.
areas you
Yeah.
didn't expect it to be.
Yeah.
Something from just being like, "Oh, I need to leave a job. I hate it here." You just turn into resentment in a lot of different ways, even internal resentment, like not feeling good enough, and imposter syndrome start to come into play. And then it just gets harder and harder to do because you're keeping yourself down. So I love that because it's really more of a uplifting and positive mindset towards getting where you want to be. Just continue to go. You just moving, redirecting, not leaving,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
redirecting your
Well,
energy.
I see that with retail leaders, that the tendency is like, I don't want to do retail for the rest of my life and things like that, but it's not so much that they don't want to do retail, for the rest of their lives. It's that they don't want to stay where they are, right? And I think there's a difference, right? The tendency is that if you're not doing anything to move yourself from where you are to where you truly want to be, um, that that could cause some bitterness, self-bitterness too, because you get upset at yourself because you haven't made the move, right? And guess what? You start to take that out on people that you lead, the organization, when you're really pissed at yourself, for not making the move when you thought that you should have. And so that's where we start talking about understanding who you are and your why, because a lot of times people will want to move from an organization based off of being pissed off because they didn't get a promotion or whatever it is, but they didn't do the necessary work to position themselves to get the promotion, right? So I think we have to always kind of make sure that people are balancing out, their why and the underpinnings of that why for what it is that they want to do.
Absolutely. Sherilyn, she replied back, creating content has always been a
A
hobby.
hobby,
So
a
it's kind
hobby.
of
Okay.
confirming. Yeah. Um, so real quick, I want to take a quick break from this. By the way, y'all, if you want to come up, message me on LinkedIn or Instagram. That probably the easiest ways to get to me on Instagram at Bosslocks, BOSSLOCKS. If you're on LinkedIn, just hit me at Walter Gainer the second. Message me, be like, put me on, and I got you. So I want to stop real quick and then get a little bit into more into what you created and those steps there. But
Yeah.
before we get there, a couple shout outs. So it's actually cool it happened in this way. First off, what's up, Michelle? How you
What's up,
doing?
Michelle?
Michelle is a founder of African American Marketing Association, and it's based in Texas, but really all over the place. Strong presence in Atlanta. So strong, in fact, that she is like, you know what?
So strong.
I'm gonna do a conference. I'm gonna
Oh,
do a conference
let's
this
do.
May 2022. Is going down. Marketing for the culture. It's good. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. I'm gonna be moderating an event. Steve's actually gonna be speaking as well. You basically it's a full event Thursday, May 12th. Please, the first day is happening, and we're going to be discussing all things marketing.
Hmm.
So I know on my panel that I'm moderating, it's all about the business of marketing, getting in deeper into like the how to scale what you already have going on. Um, but there's going to be some other conversation around monetizing content, building
Yeah.
a profitable brand, developing a community. It's a whole thing, got a lot going on. So
Yeah.
definitely want to
I'm
make sure
stoked. I'm
y'all
excited.
um what are you speaking on actually?
So, hosted, not going to do from a worthy retail use standpoint, but going to do it from a podcaster's live standpoint, talking about live streaming and monetization for live streaming and utilizing that as well too. So, pretty excited about that. I think also May 11th is actually a reception. First, I think there's like a kind of like a mixer on May 11th, in the evening, and then the 12th is a full day of conference at the Gathering Place, if I'm not mistaken. James is asking,
Please.
the heckler, James Hicks, is asking for a link to the conference so
Link
we
to the
can go.
conference. Oh yeah, there's lots of links, lots of links. If you go right here, www.mftcsummit.com. And you know what? If you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm gonna go ahead and make a post about it tomorrow. Well, you know what? After this, I'm gonna make a post about it with a link out to it.
Yeah,
Also on
I'll
Instagram
do the
as
same
well.
thing too.
Do the same thing.
I'll do
If
the
you're
same thing.
following us, you'll know about it right after this
Yeah.
live. We're gonna post about
Everybody
it.
can come but James.
Yeah. Jane,
Every
I'll sneak you in. James.
No, 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 no. He's on the West Coast. So
Oh, you in the West Coast?
yeah.
Oh,
He think
I
differently out
can't.
there.
I can't get you Wednesday.
He
I
think
don't
differently
have
out
the.
there, you know.
Yo, yes, yes. Now just to circle back, to you, kind of
Yeah.
what moving forward. Actually, real quick. Can we
Yep.
talk about your last day at your job and what that was like?
um, there was a sense of peace and freedom, um, that I don't think I've had in a long time. Uh, it was crazy because I was thinking about all the people that led all this other stuff and things like that. But I got to tell you, man, I once I bounced, in that last day, man, I was just thinking about the future. I was just thinking about like what's next. I was thinking about, you know, honestly, all the opportunities that one I wasn't able to really do because of the job, and how like, man, I'm excited about all these opportunities to impact the lives of people, I feel like in a broader scale. I did it in a pretty decent scale, throughout my career, but now this is just a second phase, for me. This is like now moving from halftime into the second half of my life, man, and super excited about it. So while it was some measure of being bittersweet, I think, at the end of the day, I was like, "Let's do this, man. Let's go for it. Let's go for it."
Let's go all in. I
Yeah.
love the way you did it. But real quick, I gotta call someone out real quick. I just saw this. I missed it before. Danielle Daniels said I would love to in regards to coming up, but don't want to make myself look
What is he
silly.
talking about? What is he talking
So
about?
what? What? Okay. Quick. A few things. A few things. One, Danielle, you bring value everywhere you go. And I'm not just saying that to say that. I had a LinkedIn audio event, and Dania wasn't able to join just because of some tech stuff. Audio still in beta on LinkedIn, but she did send in a message. It was communicating, engaging with us all by DMing me, and she helped take the conversation to another level of providing a lot of insight. And I think the questions you had were questions that a lot of other people have as well. And sometimes we don't know what to ask, and you did. So I thought that was just really special. So, yeah, if you want to come up, let me know. We'll bring you up. Definitely want to hear more about where you are, and you don't have to have it all together.
Mm-mm,
There's
mm-mm,
plenty of times
mm-mm.
where I've looked foolish, and people were like, "Oh no, you did great." It's like, not so much. It's okay. And I think everyone here as well, we've all been in a position where we didn't know what was going on. We felt silly, didn't feel like we had it all together or enough to even do something like come up on live. So
Right.
now we're here. Like I said, I feel like this whole
It's a
live
safe
has
space.
been
A
just a
super safe
regular
space.
conversation. Yeah, safe space, no judgment here. Steve might judge you if you say LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, but
Yeah.
that's
You
cool.
you
It's
you
also
you are
not.
not getting on the show. I'm just saying. None of you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Um, so yeah, Steve.
Yeah, man.
I just love the way you went about everything, man. You went all in up until the last day, and it didn't feel rushed. And I love that you said that you felt peace. I feel like a lot of people would be terrified on their last day working. But I didn't. I'm about to play something for y'all, and I feel like as you were talking about, it, I was like, I know why you felt at peace. Because you're basically getting ready to go full steam, and you have all the tools ready to go out and do it. Y'all, I'm gonna show y'all something. It's this promo clip for Steve's latest brand, Podcasters Live. I saw it last week. This is has not been seen by anyone else ever except for maybe like two other people, but it's not been published everywhere. So this is like a whole premiere we've got going on. Get ready for the press releases and all everything afterwards. But
Lord have mercy.
you want to intro what we're about to see real quick?
Well, one of the things that with Podcasters Live, the goal for Podcasters Live and how it came about, what was a big part of this. And I was doing all these different podcasting kind of groups, and then four of us kind of broke away and we started doing all of these different we started doing these Zoom calls, and I said, this should be a podcast. This should actually be a podcast. Podcasters talking about podcasting. And I was firmly embedded into live streaming with Worthy Retail U. And then Walt and Scorpion and I, last year, September, we did a live stream for International Podcast Day. And it was just impromptu. I wasn't going to do it. Walt was like, yo, let's do it. And so right after I hit end, when I hit end that session, Podcasters Live was born. It literally was. And Walt knows this. Within a week, I had the logo. We had the concept of helping podcasters learn how to live stream so that they can build community and their authority through live streaming. And now we've hosted some of the biggest names in podcasting from a live stream standpoint, and we're just moving into different aspects. And now we're going to be doing speaking, and we also just launched our website. And so what you're going to be looking at is a little bit of the website, sort of a promo that my man JP Hightech kind of put together. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
This is what 7 months of dedication looks like, y'all. beautiful. As soon as I
Uh,
saw that, I was like, I need to go call JP High Tech. Oh man, yo, this
oh,
this is beautiful. Jane Six said, "Congrats on this next chapter, brother. Worthy, yes, this is amazing." Steve, Scorpion came through and said, "Kudos to Steve, yes, and keep going." We got flame emojis from Michelle. Awesome. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. Cheryl said, "Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire
but
emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire." I don't
no,
know how
she
many
said
times I was.
fire emoji A, fire emoji A, because
Yeah.
she's Canadian.
I do that Canadian stuff, yo.
They don't ever, she doesn't ever say it, but I gotta always mess with
They're
her.
not gonna let you in Canada, man.
They won't. They
Yo.
won't.
This is so cool to see. This is inspiring as well. Just me seeing all of this. It's making me go like, okay, hold on. Let me get my graphics together. Let me see if I get some animation stuff. Yo, I I could see why you feel at peace. Also shout out to Canada, y'all. Um
Big up, Canada.
I can see why you're at peace and why you feel comfortable at the next chapter. It, at seeing that video, it just sounds like, it just looks like, you're ready. You're ready for not only for you to reach next levels, but to really help other people take it to the next level. Um, I know, you waited to just fully launch it until you had the concept together, launching in January, and then a few months later, you're now in this position where it's like, okay, yes, full time going in on this worthy retail you and just everything else you're looking to do business wise. Looking back onto your journey, I
Yeah.
think you did it right, right? But what are some things that you wish you would have done beforehand, um, just to help build your brand a little bit more smoother?
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I think one of the things that infrastructure, right? I think you and I we talked a lot about that like in the last probably month, maybe um 6 weeks was building out the infrastructure, back end processes, workflows, whether it's Calendly, whether it's Honeybook, whether it's content for coaching packages, all those different things. If I had to do that things over, I probably would have started a little sooner with podcasters live stuff and things like that. And just the infrastructure, LOC stuff, like all of that stuff, like making sure that you just take care of all of that stuff on the back end before you think about trying to leave. Um, because that just made things a little more smooth for me when I decided to take the leap. Here's the other thing that you don't have to have like, a lot of the things fleshed out. So we could talk about where the retail you here in a sec too, but with Podcasters Live, we got the live stream. You can see in that video, we've gone through a couple iterations with, our overlays and different things like that. And now we finally, I think I just launched them with, I had Sherry Jones on, and we finally just kind of like came up and like, came up with the brand that we wanted for our overlays, right? And so it took some time to kind of get there. So JP is going to be updating all of that stuff with the new overlays when I get more interviews under my belt with the new overlays. All of that stuff, just like the branding concept and content. The other thing, we talked about like was that we're going to have an audio podcast with Podcasters Live, and I could have probably launched the audio podcast like this week, but I wanted it to be different. I wanted to sound different. I wanted to, feel different when people are listening to it. And then the same thing with like creating videos, right? So I finally found an editor, somebody that I love that he's a trusted advisor, able to help me with concepts and things like that. And so now we're kind of cohesively going to be bringing the video with the audio, and with the live stream kind of all together. And so that's why I'm super excited about that. So if there's anything else, you could probably think about trying to figure out who you're going to work with or who you want to work with right before you launch. Sometimes it's hard because your content and your idea isn't like completely fleshed out, and you have to kind of search once again for those trusted advisors too. With Worthy Retail You, we are rebranding. That we're going to keep continue to be Worthy Retail You, but we are going to be focused in on not just the individual from a coaching standpoint, but going into retail organizations and actually coaching their teams and helping their district managers to understand how they can help build culture and career communication, taking their managers to leaders. That's going to be our concept and idea. And so, while we have a lot of things in place, a lot of these things I wasn't able to do because I just didn't have the time. And now I actually have the time to dedicate it, and I'm pretty stoked about it. So,
Mm. Love that. Love that. Quick comments. Oh, okay. So Raphael won't be able to join. Little one sleep period. That is important. Appreciate you. You look like a Man City player. You'd be top
that's right.
notch. That should be life goals actually, Raphael.
There you go.
Um
There you go, Raphael. Just for you. Just for you, buddy. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
hope you feel better. Get your allergies, that pollen out the way. I just shared. That's great stuff from Steve. More worthy stuff from you, sir. I see what you did with the last name
There
there.
you go.
Share came through, said taking care of the back end stuff before you leave your job is really smart because you can actively work on it behind the scenes and stay low key with your business at work. And you know what? James came through and said, Share Joe, say it again for the people in the back room. So we're gonna say it again too. Yo,
I thought
taking
we
care of
kicked
the
him out.
back
I thought we
stuff.
kicked him out.
He
Sorry.
found us. I think Sherry let him back in. Taking care of the backs and stuff before you leave your job is really smart. Y'all, um, I think one great thing about having a job is that it does allow you some time to do things. You don't have to worry
Hmm.
about monetizing what you want to do right away. If you are working as a full-time content creator and nothing else, you got to make money right away. So working a job actually helps to grant you the time, resources to do the things you need to do. Real quick, Steve, before we head out, I'm actually going to put you on a spot, and I want to hear actually five things, bullet points, hot seat style things
Oh,
that yo five five things that people should be doing right now if they want to build a brand while working a full time job.
dude,
Um,
5 things.
yeah,
You want five?
I want five. And you know what? I'm actually going to do five as well. Actually, we'll go back and forth. All right, but you have to go first. Boom. What's number one?
Ooh, I think we talked about it earlier. Like, understand, have a strong why. Of what it is that you want to do. Your audience, right? And understand this. Maybe this goes into it. Maybe this is two. I don't know. Your content is it for yourself, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to do, your business, your idea, it's not about you. It's for other people. And I think the tendency we get so wrapped up in our stuff for us, and which is cool, right? Because it's going to be a reflection of us. But whatever it is that you're doing, I honestly feel like it's for somebody else. So you have to understand that first.
Mm, okay, I'm gonna count that as one because I said one. What's one thing? And I'm gonna give you time to think of the next one because Doc Rock came through with one of his. He said, once you make the decision, you need to switch from your verbiage.
Mm, mm,
Thing is the full time job, and the old thing is a part time job. The difference is subtle but powerful. Mm, yes, it
that's
is.
right.
I know in the past, when I was in this point in time where I realized, you know what, I need to be doing something else. Some of the things I started working on was just building up my craft a bit more
Yeah.
to kind of get to where the point I wanted to be. And you know what, that actually ended up with me getting another job, the job I have now as a podcast producer. So it's kind of cool sometimes when you're going towards the things you want to do, sometimes other opportunities present itself. So my number one is be open to new opportunities, even if it doesn't look like what you originally had in mind.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Steve, what's next?
Yeah. I
Number
think I think the other thing too. So if your concept or whatever it is that you want to do that it doesn't align with your current job, right? Because the for me it was easy with retail, right? Because what I do from a coaching standpoint, I've been doing it for 25 years. So for me, it was fairly easy to utilize that job for case studies. I mean, I got I don't know how many episodes from that from my career standpoint. But if your current job doesn't align with, what you want to currently do, I think you have to seek out maybe opportunities to learn more. To your point, so maybe I'm piggybacking off of what you're saying, but I think learn on someone else's dime as much as you possibly can, right? Build up your chops, build up your experience with whatever it is that piece is, because that will just help you. Here's okay, I'm gonna do number three. Okay, I gotta do it.
all right,
Here's this
go ahead.
this this probably number three too, right? You, the subtle, like, soft skills and nuancing. So one of the things that I had to get better at was interviewing, right? Because I knew that was going to be a big part of what I do. And so I just studied people from an interview standpoint, their their cadence, how they ask questions, when they ask questions, their ability to go down a rabbit hole with a guest, but then bring the conversation back. So studying tools and techniques for your craft or whatever that may be is going to be invaluable for you as well.
Mm. All right, so I love that. I love that that really flowed together. And I think my next one's going to be kind of go back to what you said about piggybacking. I feel like that's something that came from the clubhouse days, and what I love about it is just like sometimes you find inspiration in other people. So myself, if you want to build your brand while working full time, don't do it alone. Even if someone's not on your team, have someone with you that is also striving towards some similar goals. It's good to create with other people. That accountability piece is powerful. And got something from Doc once again. He said, I tell them all the time, fam, your channel content is not yours, it's the community's.
Come on, man. See,
Absolutely.
see what the doctors validated my joint, man. That's number three, then, right there.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
call it
doc-
number four. We'll call it number four.
oh well, you know what? I think we can go back to the trusted advisor, the trusted, how to find the trusted people, before you make that leap, right? Because once you make the leap, if you feel like you're by yourself, right? I think that's more scary, right? When you make the leap and you're just kind of do it on all on your own, right? No one, John Maxwell always talks about, he hates the phrase, self-made man or self-made leader, self-made woman, or whatever. He hates that phrase because there's no such thing. There's no such thing, right? It doesn't matter, who you are out there, Peter McKinnon, Potato Jet, all these guys, from a content creation standpoint, right? They didn't do it all on their own. And I think the tendency is that you have to make sure that you try to find that trusted advisor before you actually trust a person, before you hop out there on your own, because they can make that transition a lot more easy for you as well.
Mm. What if you know what? I'm actually gonna hold that for another time, like a part two of
No,
this.
man.
'Cause
Go ahead,
that
man.
could
Go
be
ahead,
like a
man.
whole like we talked a lot earlier about how to find that trusted person. What
Yeah.
if you can't find it?
I don't think you're looking hard enough. You know, I think there's some pride associated with it, right? Because there are people that can help you. Like I said, I never met Doc in person, right? But I didn't bounce ideas off of Doc, right? Before I went and started stuff. Like, I just looked at some of the concepts and ideas that he had, and you know, and he was consistent with them. And so I was like, okay, this his mindset. He's an East Coast guy, right? So we have that, in mind. So we think very, in a similar fashion. And so, just like-minded person. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm digging it. And I think the tendency, if you can't find that person, I don't think you're looking hard enough.
Mm,
Think you are just, you want to just continue to do it your own. And that's cool. That's cool. I'm not saying that that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. I'm telling you, your idea could be better with more people, trusted people to help you give bounce ideas and um help you kind of cut through the chase. And here's the other thing, like, Sharon and I talk a lot about skipping steps, right? Because the tendency sometimes is that when you're by yourself and you're doing it on your own, you tend to skip steps because you want to get to the end result quicker than necessary, or when it's right, right? And sometimes you have to have a person say, "Yo, dude, no, why are you going from step one to step three? You got two." And a lot of times we don't want to hear it. That's when we don't find that trusted person, because we don't want to hear it. And they're like, "No, dude, you got to go back and go number two before you get to three." So just think about it in that context as well. Make sure you have a trusted advisor.
mhm. I think that probably counts as number five. Um, Raphael just shared that was important. You took the time to work and learn on the skill set that you knew you needed to improve. Absolutely. I think my dad shared with me right after I graduated, I was having trouble finding a job. And one thing he just continued to share with me, I understood it at the time, but didn't fully grasp it until I was no longer in that position, right?
Yeah.
He said, right now, you're a billionaire in time. Yeah, you may be broke, you might
Mm,
not have any money, but you have
mm.
all the time in the world, more time than some of the most successful people
What you
in the
gonna do with
world.
it? What you gonna do with it?
What are you gonna do with it?
What you gonna do with it, man? There's the, there's just too much information out there, right? And I think we gotta we sell ourselves short when we can't find a question. I'm gonna keep. I don't care. He's here, so I'm gonna keep messing with Doc Rock. But he gets pissed off sometimes on the live stream when someone asks like a question that's been posted in the community. They haven't even looked for it yet, right?
Mhm,
They haven't like, and they just want this. They just want. I want to know how to do this, and like, dude, like that's like there's like 10 questions in the community. You haven't even done your research yet, right? So, like, I think the tendency sometimes is that we have to do some legwork up front, right? And then maybe ask some of the bigger questions. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that the person was wrong for asking the question, but the context of what he's talking about is like is that you have to, do some of the homework first too, yourself, right? Before you kind of move there. So we start talking about trusted advisors, the mentors, yada yada yada, right? I had to do a whole bunch of homework on myself so that once I had a conversation with them, I knew exactly what I needed them to help me with, right?
mhm,
And then that way we got value for value out of that relationship. And so, man, if you got time on your hands, there's no reason why you can't be, quote unquote expert in something that's going to actually benefit you for what it is that you're trying to do once you leave your job or while you're currently still at your job.
mhm. Love that. Real quick, y'all, if y'all are watching, one thing I want y'all to just a quick takeaway is that there are so many people out here who really can support you. Like just in this comment thread, just been a bunch of people coming through to share some tips as well. And
Hmm.
sometimes you don't even need to have that one-on-one conversation with them. All you gotta do is follow them and just listen to the things they said. Sherry Jones just popped in with a bonus tip. She said, no matter how quick you think you could get it done for your business, most times it will take you longer
Come on.
than
Yeah. I don't like that tip. I hate that tip, but she right.
you think.
I ain't gonna front, man. See, I can't stand that tip because we okay. True confession, right? You just talking. You and I was just talking offline, right? I've been doing this Joy solo for like 2.5 weeks, and while we are far along with a lot of things, and then a lot of people know this too, but I'm hard on myself. I'm like, dang, we should be doing this. We should be doing that. And like I feel like I should be so much further along. This is real talk. But then you get the trusted advisor, people like, yo, like Jamie over in the UK. Jamie's like, yo, this British accent. You've been doing this for like 2.5 weeks. You already got clients, you're already doing this, you're already doing that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So sometimes you just have to like kind of step back and realize that you are further along than you think you are. However, you're not at your end goal. So while I hate that tip, she's right.
That actually is a perfect segue into my very last question for you, Steve. And this one came from a conversation I had with someone who she's currently a software engineer student. She's working a job and she's I don't know how much longer she has in school, but she has some significant more years and still working, but wants to go ahead and get started with content creation. And the first thing that came in mind to me was just to kind of have realistic expectations.
Yeah.
And not to say don't shoot and be ambitious. No, you definitely need that. You definitely have to have that, but the expectations for yourself has to be realistic and appropriate for where you are in your life. So can you talk a little bit about
Yo,
expectations?
come on, man. Yo, you got to cut out that noise, man. You know, James and I were talking about this on Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. We were talking about the attention span of people nowadays, right? Is because it's super short, right? And social media doesn't help. We got shorts, we got reels, we got TikTok, right? Everybody and their mama famous, everybody and their mama making money, on all these platforms, and they're really not. Everybody's profile on LinkedIn looks super superb, where they're probably doing half of that. So the tendency is that a lot of times you start to look at all of this stuff and really feel like you're behind, and you're really not. And I think the idea of understanding about kind of where you are in comparison to what it is that you want to get accomplished is extremely it's a humbling experience because you realize that there is a gap between where you are to where it is that you want to be. And we talk about this all the time in our coaching program. We talk about the gap analysis, your current state to your future state, and the gap is the most important part. But excuse me, the current state is the most important part because if you're not realistic with where you currently are, you're never going to get there. It's just like I live in Maryland. You know, if I would, before the days of like, all of these different apps to show you where you were, you would actually have to break out an atlas. Yes, an atlas, a map. That's how old I am. Right. But you had to plot where you currently were first before if I wanted to go to New York, from Maryland, right? I had to figure out where I was first. So same thing. And I think the tendency is that we don't take that time up front. We don't take that time up front. And we want to go to that future state, man. And if your foundation and you don't know who you are is weak, it doesn't matter what you do. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because you can fake it. You can fake it for a minute, right?
Mhm.
We all see it, right? We 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 see it all the time. You can fake it for a minute, and until you get, Mike Tyson says everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face,
Mhm.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Right, and that punch in the face is life, and people not accepting your idea, someone not appreciating what you're doing, and then but how strong are you going to actually kind of be able to come back and say, well, it's not about them, it's what I want to do to help other people. And so I think the tendency is that we have to have realistic expectations about where we currently are and to where it is that we want to go. It's just going to take time to, share that bonus tip. It is going to take time. But the thing that we also talk about too is that the ideal scenario is to go from point A to point B, but it's unrealistic. And we talk about this with our clients is that sometimes you have to go to point from A to, A1 to A2 to A3 and then to B, right? Because all those different points along the ways are different learnings that you can take with you because then when you get to B, guess what? You're a better person, you're a better leader, you're a better content creator, right? But we just want to go to B. You
Mhm.
you got to respect the process, right? Got to respect the process. So the journey is where you galvanize a lot about who you are. So because when you get to that end result, dude, you're on stage. That's why I love live streaming so much because for me, you know, you can make a mistake and you're good. But at the end of the day, it is the rush of like just going after it and having conversations and talking to people live. There's no filter, there's no editing, there's none of that. It is like a rush for me when I go live and to talk to people because I feel like I'm operating exactly where I need to be operating. And I think that's the tendency. Sometimes people fail to realize that they have to figure out where they want to operate in. And sometimes those expectations are unrealistic. And you have to understand what you like and who you are, and then you can actually kind of move into some of those things. Sorry about that. I was long-winded, man.
Long-winded but needed,
I'm
important,
bad. I'm
valuable.
bad. You know, I
Oh,
get
that
yeah.
was I
I
loved all
get
that.
passionate about certain things, man.
Yeah, I'm not about to cut you off when you dropping gems,
You know
man.
what I'm saying,
Man,
hold up, I'm gonna give myself an air horn.
give yourself an air horn. I'll give you a oh, that's the wrong pad. Well, you know what? You got your air horn. You already got your sound effect. Cool. Y'all appreciate y'all tuning into this. This was not the normal live stream we did. This is a true like back and forth collaboration. That's why you see it across all the different platforms. Um, I usually go live Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time, speaking to Black leaders, looking to just help people along their career journey, uh, entrepreneurial pursuits, just supporting Black professionals in all walks of life. So we're coming back again next week, Tuesday, with another live. It's working on a few things, but it'll be renounced this Thursday, I believe. But Steve, you got a lot going on. I know we're going to see you at the Marketing for the Culture Summit here in Atlanta this May. But how can people get in touch with you if they're not already familiar
Yeah,
with everything you
dude.
got going on?
Man, yeah, thanks, Walt, man. I tell you what, yeah, we got um, the African American Marketing Association Summit. Then I'll be down in Orlando, May 26th through the 29th, speaking at Podfest, which is pretty dope. So I'm excited. I'm actually pretty
Nice.
excited about that. But here's the thing, man. If you're looking at your current leader and you're thinking about where you currently are and you want to move from that management mindset to the leadership mindset, you got to check us out at worthyretailyou.com, right? And we can help get you sorted because if you can tell from tonight, my passion is leadership, is helping people get it, helping them understand more about where they are so that they can actually become the leaders that they've always wanted to be and not the leaders that people think that they should be. So those are the things that we focus on with Worthy Retail You. Podcasters Live, you're a content creator. Our goal with Podcasters Live, you can go to podcasterslive.com and you can connect with us there. If you are looking to grow your community and your authority through live streaming as a podcaster, one of the things that we do is that we help you with that. We have packages that we talk to you from your concept to production. We do audits, and but the biggest thing that we do that we've seen a benefit is helping people understand their why first before we start talking about gear and all of that stuff because doesn't the gear doesn't matter until you know what you want to talk about and the audience that you want to speak to. So you can go to Podcasters Live, check us out on the YouTube channel. We got a whole bunch of great people coming up there as well.
Everywhere. Love it. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Love hearing where each of y'all are on your journey. Keep going. That's my main message. Keep going. Don't worry about how long it's taking. Just keep trying to go. Just get 1% better, 1% closer every single day. If you have any questions on how to do it even more so, hit me up. You can find me exactly where you're watching right now. But you can find me Boss Locks, BOSSLOCKS on all the different platforms. Website Boss Locks Media. But the main place right now, the main place that's my attention is LinkedIn. You can search for me there
Yeah, man.
and hit Steve up too, because he's got you for real. I only got so much time because I am still a full time, happily employed individual. Um,
shout out to my man Doc Rock, man, for stopping by. James Hicks, Cher, of course, um, Mr. Raphael, right? Appreciate all of you guys, everybody in the comments kind of stopping by and adding some value to the conversation because that's what this is about, dude. That's the other reason why I love live streaming, right? Because you get some people, some heavy hitters that kind of come in and hey, Garen, what's going on, dude? And you get people to come in and just add value to the overall conversation and people tell you, man, people pay money for this type of stuff, man. Even to some of the comments that were and tips that were shared in there, right? People pay good money for that stuff. So don't sleep on live streaming and on LinkedIn and doing this because I'm telling you what, it's a $73 billion business. Live streaming is, and that's just going to continue to grow. So go ahead and rock it out.
it's also a great way to save time while creating content.
Boom,
It's
boom.
cheat code. All right, y'all. I'm gonna leave with this comment. I just loved it. Shoot for the moon, but work like you're trying to get to Jupiter. That's all, y'all.
I thought
We
you were going
out.
to do Donnie Simpson. If you shoot for the
Next
moons,
time.
and if you move the moons, you'll be among the stars. That's old BET. I'm sorry, Walt. That's before your time, man.
Yeah, yeah. Before my time. We're gonna go with Docs and Jupiter one. All right, y'all. Peace. Catch you next time.
Uh,
Take care. Have a good evening, morning, day, wherever time zone you are.
have a good night, guys.